Today we're going to talk a little bit about decision-making and critical thinking, independent thinking. Lately, you've been talking to your mom, your dad, your siblings about where do we go to get jabs. You want to go get jabs at the hospital, at a private hospital, or the government injection center, jabs or no jabs, vaccination or no vaccination. Or maybe tonight you go to the dinner party, you say, which dress am I going to put on, yellow or red? So there are minor decisions every day that we're going to make. Some are minor, some are more major and more critical. Independent thinking, critical thinking are so important. Now I'm going to show you a little film, 2 minutes, and after which we could actually maybe talk a little bit about how we come to the conclusion.
In 2010, Haiti, one of the world's lowest income countries, was hit by a series of devastating earthquakes. It was apocalyptic in scale. The world quickly rallied to help, and at the forefront of this relief effort was none other than the American Red Cross. We spoke about the Red Cross yesterday, and we will speak about them again today. The American Red Cross launched a campaign so successful that they raised nearly $500 million to help Haitians, so $500 million. And it wasn't long before they were patting themselves on the back for how they spent those funds on helping people. The question is, though, which people? Because confidential memos, emails, and internal documents years later showed that this was purely a lie. They claimed to have built homes for more than 130,000 people. But now I'd like you to take a guess on how many homes they actually built. Go on, take a guess. $500 million. Was it 200 homes? Maybe 100? I mean, those are already pretty low numbers, right? They built 6 homes with $500 million. This was uncovered by the brilliant investigative journalists over at NPR and ProPublica. So yes, they built 6 homes and they praised themselves in public about it. And of course, the Red Cross won't disclose details of how they did spend the hundreds of millions of dollars donated for Haiti by Americans. In other promotional materials, the Red Cross said it had helped, quote, more than 4.5 million individual Haitians get back on their feet, end quote. But it has not provided details to back up that claim. Oh, and it gets worse. The Red Cross kept soliciting money well after it had enough. Doctors Without Borders, in contrast, stopped fundraising off the earthquake when it had enough in donations. Maybe that's because the Red Cross used that money in order to erase more than $100 million in deficit that they had in their books. Now, I'm not denying that they did provide some form of help as food and temporary shelter goes, but the numbers do not lie, and this is just preposterous.
But this young lady, the reporter, actually did some research, right? I'm sure she did a lot of research and digging out files and things like this to find out that no, it's not true. So she said that how many homes they built? 2,000? 1,000? Not even that. 6 homes. Now, can you believe that? Red Cross raised $500 million, real money, not funny money, and they actually built 6 homes. So when I saw this thing a while ago and I was puzzling, I was thinking about it, who's telling a lie? Who's telling the truth? So my conclusion is no conclusion. We simply don't know. And when people say we do fact checks, we thought that, we actually fact check everything. So the data that we have has got to be accurate. Not necessarily, isn't it? But anyway, after checking, researching, and exhausting a lot of data, pages and pages of materials, I came to the conclusion that I have no idea who's telling the truth and who is telling the lie. Especially in today's technology, you just can't tell, right? Okay, what I'm trying to say here is, this is my little 10-minute kicker. I think my time is up. Is for young people like you guys, in about 2-3 years' time, you'll be out in the workforce working for companies, NGO, for working for yourself, whatever. I think this critical thinking, independent assessment of situations, will be with you for lifelong. I will be with you for lifetime. Now, I'm going to introduce my very good friend, very prominent young person in Hong Kong, technology-oriented. He's through and through technology. The NDN is a prolific serial entrepreneur living a busy life, managing clusters of technology projects Be they startups or mature companies?
So the topic is dream big. I think for younger generation, like all the students in Hong Kong, I think we should all dream big, and because it's for free, right? I always mentioned it to Philip, but how I started my career, right when I was 21 years old, right after graduation from college. It was actually 9/11 in 2001. This is a photo of New York. And then that was the time when I first had my first job after graduation. And I was majored in, Philip just mentioned, I was in psychology and economics. So as a major in psychology, usually you get into several careers, HR, psychiatrist,
Okay.
or maybe media and advertising,
media and advertising,
customer related, psychology related. So I went into one of the top advertising company called Ogilvy and Mather. So I was there working. I was really happy because my job was look into advertising. So this is actually Rolex. I was measuring the diameter of the watch surface to make sure it's a real size. It fits exactly the same as the real size of the watch. I was going through all the English and Chinese to make sure the words,
Right, and Yo-Yo Ma is a Rolex artist.
Yeah, and Yo-Yo Ma is one of the renowned cellists in the world.
Right.
I played cello when I was in
I play violin.
Yeah,
we should maybe get together for a little duet or something.
Yes. So that was my job, right? And then the first meeting when I went out to meet the client, I wasn't able to wear any watches because they said no watches unless it's a Rolex. And I felt like quite uneasy back then because I was only a kid, 21 years old. How would I have a Rolex? And meanwhile, I'm serving one of the top-notch brand in the world. So I just felt that, it's not so easy, but what about Nike? So my team went out and pitched Nike. And I just felt like, now I have a pair of Nike. So the next day I wear my Nike shoes and shirts and I went back to office and I was about to go out together with my team and pitch Nike. And then my immediate supervisor said, sorry, you have to stay because we have already so many colleagues going together and you are the junior staff. And I wasn't able to go. So I felt disappointed. And I said, now, why creativity is based on hierarchy? Why it is not based on, whatever I can express?
Right.
Because the slogan of Nike is called "Just Do It." Right. So Philip just mentioned critical thinking and independent thinking, and my thinking at that moment, I asked for wisdom, right, of my immediate boss, and I said, okay, how long does it take me to become a managing director like you at Ogilvy? And he said, well, I'm the youngest managing director of the entire Ogilvy. Back then, he was 38 years old. I was 22, I think, or 21. And then it would take me 17 years to climb up the ladder. And then I just felt that, well, it's okay, right? But then I said, how long will it take me to, go and pitch Nike? And then my immediate supervisor said, well, maybe 6 years when you become a business director. And my thinking back then was it's taking too much of my time to climb up US company to be the top management. So that was my time where I was walking through the corridor of my office and I saw this is called David Ogilvy, the founder of the company. And there's a quote on the wall. And the quote is basically says that if you want to scale and grow your company, you have to hire people way bigger than you and better than you, right? And the smallest store is actually the CEO and the COO. And I was looking at this picture and I just thought that I should be the biggest one, right? I should be the biggest store because I'm the juniors, the account executive. But how come they are only paying me $8,000 per month and don't allow me to make a pitch in with Nike? And that was the critical independent thinking of myself, right? The first time I have my independent thinking was I quit. I quit the job and I decided to dream my own dreams. Because I was thinking, if I don't build my own dream, someone would hire me to build theirs. So here I am, I'm Andy N. My last name is ANN. The company name is NDN Group because it sounds like my name. So I founded my company. I failed a couple of them. I had several successful ones. But then I started with one table, one desk. That was how I started. Back then.
Doesn't look like you, Andy.
Yeah, that's me. Very frustrated. Don't know what to do. I just got my computer and I said, oh, let's do something, right? And then before jumping into this, I was throwing out university parties, cups parties for my classmates before I jumped into my first business. This one is actually a door opener. So if you touch the screen and then you tap the card, the door opens, right? So I saw this display in the Hong Kong Convention Center. And I asked the boss, and I said, the owner of this display, and I said, hey, can you turn this into advertising, right? So I thought that, well, it would be great if I put in Nike or put in, some brands and I can advertise. And he said, yeah, we can turn that into advertising instead of a touch screen. And that was how I started, and then I felt that it would be really amazing where I can place these into cups and bars. Right? So that was how I started. So I started myself, and the one beside me is Michael. He's my college classmate. We started the company together. This is almost 20 years ago exactly. And then what we have done is actually we've installed all these small little tiny display screens into all the cups and bars. And then I was picking up the phone and I was calling one by one. I called Nokia, I called Canon, I called Fidelity Soon, I called PCW and asked for advertising, whether they want to promote in some of the clubs and bars areas. We started only with 15 locations, but then in a very short period of time, we ramped up all the way to 80 locations. And back then it was in Lan Kwai Fong and Soho area, in Northford Terrace. So these are the areas that we went. And then SARS, same like what we have just been through. In 2003, there was SARS, and all the shops closed down. Many of our displays were gone. So, I was really frustrated because we rented all these displays. We didn't buy it, we rented it. So I need to repay the supplier on all the displays that were gone. And then as an entrepreneur, we always think of, well, I can always go back and get a job, whether I should go back and get a job or I should continue to pursue, but I don't know what to do, right? Because all the displays were gone. So I think that if I continue to ask myself, or you can also ask yourself, what is the easiest thing to do as an entrepreneur is actually to give up, to quit. And I said, okay, let's continue. Let's not go back and get a job. This is the second sort of independent thinking, right? Should I call up my parents and say, hey, I'll come back and live with you, or I should, move on and find a job, ask my friends to give me some work to do. So these are all the issues that I have to go through in my mind. So I went back to, I was in Vancouver and I was visiting my parents during the SARS. I saw this towel dispenser in the bars together with Justin, Philip's son.
Oh, okay.
So I was, oh, have you been to the toilet? It's really cool. There's a display where you wave your hand and the paper towel will come out, right? And back then in Hong Kong, we don't have any of these device machines. We only have automatic taps and doors or flush, but not towel dispenser. So then I went to all the restaurants and bars and hospitals, Times Square, Ritz-Carlton, and once you put on the towel dispenser, when they refill, they just have to buy it from us because we have a special links. is 10 inches. Most of them are 12 inches out there. So that was how I survived during the crisis. So it was sort of a roller coaster from digital display all the way to towel dispenser, right, and toilets. So I visited a lot of toilets. But I decided to come back, and I said, oh, let's build bigger and stronger. And I identified what are the problems with my previous business is because of I was talking to all these mums and pub shops, right, small shops. So I decided to go back and we go with the bigger real estate chains, right? So I went to big brands like McDonald's, Mercedes-Benz, Nokia back then, and I said, okay, we want to build bigger display screens. Long-term businesses, not only short-term, because most of the clubs and bars, they do a renovation every year and two, right? So I said, let's go to McDonald's. So let's see something, what we can do. So I went to karaoke networks, chains that they're 1,000 rooms. So in between the songs, we put in advertising. And then I went to Pacific Coffee. If you have been to Pacific Coffee in Hong Kong, back then there were 70 locations. We put in digital display screens, and we know that they will be for long term. And then I went to McDonald's. And then in McDonald's, we put in digital display screens. And we also installed the digital Wi-Fi, and we offer free Wi-Fi for everyone. Not sure if you are still using it. Today, we still have 20 minutes free Wi-Fi in McDonald's. So that together gave us, my sort of first foundation from my ideas, go through, some of the, bottleneck and also roller coaster, failed some of the business, try to survive and coming back. So that was my first stage of my career. So I was back then around 26 years old. So remember, I couldn't able to pitch Nike when I was with Ogilvy, but there was a day Nike called me up and asked me to do a talk presentation for them. And I was like, wow. And the general manager of Nike, she knows my story. So she prepared a pair of shoes, the Air Max, for me after my presentation talk. And I was really touched because, after so many years, the first thing that I thought of, this is the reason why I left my job and jumped into running my own business. And it was really tough. But at the end, when I look back, I really felt, wow, blessed that, now I'm with Nike, inspiring their staffs, inspiring everyone in the company. Yeah. And then now, what I'm working on Horizon, I'm working on this project called YAS as a micro insurance. So we envision that the future of insurance should be downloadable like Netflix or Spotify. It should be streaming insurance where wherever I go, I'm insured, on the go. I can share my insurance to anyone that I love, my kids, my parents. And when I claim, it's only 2 minutes, right? I can claim and make prizes, rewards, or tokens or money, right? So that's a project that I'm working on. So by launching this, we have partnered with Kowloon Motor Bus. So whenever you ride a bus now with a monthly pass, it covers insurance. So it covers up to $5,000 if you have some accidents or $2,000 if you lost any of your work. So we partnered with Kowloon Motor Bus. It's a really successful launch that we had last year together with them. Yeah, so to wrap up, it's I think dreaming big, step by step. It's something that you have all the time. Younger generation, you have so many things that you can do, and you will not be able to imagine how much you can do alone and together with your people that you love, because it's free.
What do you think? Which technology you think are most desired in the coming years ahead?
Blockchain is definitely, up and coming for many of the corporations for the real world examples. A lot of applications are building on top at this moment. I think, maybe you guys have heard of NFTs. I think, NFTs is just a fast track for people to understand what is the underlying of smart contracts that is running on the blockchain. This is definitely one thing. AI-related solutions. I'm not doing a lot of AI. I've invested into AI companies, but then I think AI will help there are two schools of thoughts, right? One is AI will replace human. The other school of thought is AI will make us become superhuman. I'm the more.
You're the latter.
I'm more of. I think AI will help us become superhuman rather than replacing us, because I think we still have a lot of things to go. And I think the AI, blockchain, and data. Data is basically the flow. Without data, there will be no AI, no blockchain. So the three combination is the yin and yang and the qi. So that's the
yin and yang.
Yeah.
Very
so
good
that's
answer.
the core.
But when you're talking about the NFT and the Metaverse, how about a non-IT based students to enter to this kind of market?
Yeah, so for example, I'm not IT based. I'm in psychology and economics. I also enter into the space. For example, NFT now is not only about tech, it's all about creation, create arts, create animations. Metaverse is about 3D, physical and virtual worlds of immersive experience, building customer journeys, user experiences. These are all the jobs that is required: marketing, promotion, community building. I think there's a lot because tech itself, it doesn't scale. Tech with creation, with communication, it scales quickly. So there are also a lot of opportunities there.
Okay, another question from Olivia. I have heard that Mr. Ant has faced many difficulties in operating his company. May I know more about how you deal with the stress and sad times?
Yeah, sad time, rock bottom, usually it's learning, going back to school. That's why I went to my MBA, reading a lot, attending a lot of seminars and workshops online. I spent 300 hours learning after graduation. So every year I carve out 300 hours to keep on learning. So I think only by learning, there's a lot of things you can learn in downtimes and stretch time. I learned about meditation. I learned about feng shui. I learned about religion. I learned about special skills, hobbies, best habits. So these are all the things during downtime that you have time to learn as well. Because at the downtime, usually you have not much to do.
It's not easy.
Yeah, most of the rock bottom time will be the time that you are, you have nothing much to do.
Then
yeah, and I think it is important, during exam times and also difficult economic environment time where you can shift your expectation to appreciation instead of expecting this and that happen or scoring a high score or the government would do whatever. Try to appreciate what you already have at this moment. For example, I used to go to Google and there's a link. I think I type in, rank yourself in the world or something like that. There's a link, and then there's a survey, and it asks if you can drink in the morning, have a clean glass of water. You're already ranking the 80th percentile of the world.
Okay.
If you can have light, if you can have a bed, if you can sleep properly, you're already ranking 90% percentile of the world. And if you looked at how when we started Project Moses, 2 billion people in the world, they don't even have clean water. They don't even have lights. Around 7 billion people. So, it's only sometimes you might need some comparisons, not by looking up, but looking around the world. There are many crises around the world happening as well. So that is appreciation where we need a lot more of gratitude. And in school, when I was a kid, I'm the lucky one because I scored the lowest points in school. And I don't have the pressure.
Me too.
I don't have the pressure, right? Because most of the time, I have the frustration, but I don't have the stress. Yeah, because I'm good in sports, I'm good in arts, but I'm not good in the math or science or whatever.
There you go. You listen to that, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why maybe it's that character that built me. And when I come in to join the society, I realized no one really cared about only the first job, that is maybe important, but I have only written my resume once for that job, and thereafter it's all myself. Right? I built my own bio. When Philip was reading that introduction of me, that's my bio. It's not a scoring. It's not a ranking. It's nothing about schooling.
Good point, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
but school is important to meet the classmates and be friends and build trust and communicate well, think of new ideas, creativity, and do the bonding, help each another up. I think that's really important skills in the university or college.
Right.